Hello everybody, this is Jerry Mattel with MDA. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Mixwave's brand new Pultec EQP 1S3. This is their collaboration with Pultec in creating an emulation of what they believe to be a modern interpretation of the Pultec hardware unit. Their emulation has everything that the original hardware had. We have the boost and attenuation at the same selectable frequencies. You have your frequency selection knob, as well as your mid-frequency boost. You have your high-frequency attenuation shelf, and you have your tube makeup gain stage. The thing that does make this very different, though, is you actually will see that you have some frequencies that weren't originally in the original Pultec. And that's because Mixwave and Pultec have worked together to create modifications that Pultec thinks should be in a more modern interpretation. You have more frequencies that are selectable, as well as a high-frequency shelf boost at 5 and 10 kilohertz. This doesn't seem to be affected by your bandwidth control, but it is very nice to have. You're able to do more broadband shaping without needing a bunch of different EQs. This now kind of makes this one module an all-in-one unit. You also have a difference in the makeup gain amp stage, where you now have the ability to have solid state or tube makeup gain. Now, what that means is it basically works like a real Pultec, only now instead of having tubes, you can swap it out for transistors or something solid state. Now, Pultecs are passive. So when you do a boost on a frequency, let's say boost 70 hertz, it actually reduces every frequency around that and then brings the gain back up using a tube stage. That adds coloration and adds a lot of tube style frequency content. Now, real tubes, if you're a guitar player, you'll definitely know this. Real tube amps especially, they have a fat bottom end and a really sparkly, spanky top end because it has a lot of low frequency content that kind of has like a thump. It makes things sound really like boomy and big. And then the high frequency sheen, it's very bright. It's spanky. And there's a reason why a lot of tube amps are kind of even a little harsh, because it's just so much high frequency sparkle added. Now, a transistor or something solid state is more neutral. So you won't get that same low frequency bloom where it seems like the content almost sustains longer, and it won't be as much of a sheen in the high end. It's basically just going to be a little bit of saturation, but a very neutral, flat way of doing it. I've also noticed by comparing this inside of Plugin Doctor, let me open that up right now, that this is a very good emulation. It's comparing this to the UAD Pultec, right? I'm going to change the makeup gain values because I noticed both of them kind of have this little smiley face or reverse smiley face. You set oversampling on, and these things almost match. One big difference, though, is when you turn on the solid state stage versus the tube stage, you get a more linear action. And in the harmonic analysis, tubes have a lot more saturation than the solid state one does. Now, of course, if you reduce your oversampling down to nothing, you will get a little bit of aliasing, but having it at ×8 will get rid of it almost completely. Of course, I usually just keep it at ×2 because ×2 is still very good with the aliasing. You don't get a lot, period, but if you do have a problem with aliasing, do oversampling. I mean, even ×4 is really good at cleaning it up, but if you really want to be cautious, ×8. I've also noticed that both of these kind of actually have a similar frequency response. Boosting 5 dB with the UAD one looks almost the same as with Mixwaves. And that's really good because UAD worked together with Pultec to make an official emulation. And the fact that Mixwave's emulation, in fact, works a little bit better than UAD's is good. Check this out. I'm going to boost and cut this frequency as fast as I can, right? And you'll notice at no point do these frequencies seem to jump up. You don't see a sudden jump or spike. But with UAD's, you do get that. See that? Right there. It almost seems like it suddenly jumps to a frequency shape. So Mixwaves is a little bit smoother. That's enough with this. Let's go for some examples. So I have a song. It's a cover of Tom Petty's Running Down a Dream. And I have Mixwave's Pultec on every mix bus and my submix. And I have them all bypassed. Let's listen to the mix and then we'll use the Pultec to kind of enhance this mix.
It was a beautiful day, the sun beat down, I had the radio on, and I was driving. Trees.
Cool, so what I'm hearing is on the drums especially, a little harsh, right? The cymbals are very, very harsh. So we're gonna use the Pultec to kind of tame that high end, but not make it sound dull, right? And then the guitars, they're dull, they're dark, right? Let's solo up the guitars. That's a very dark guitar, so we're gonna need to brighten it up. So we're gonna kind of do some opposites. So we'll start off by utilizing the attenuation on the drums. And another thing to listen to, I do recommend you download the demo because I don't think you're going to hear this. YouTube's algorithm does a lot of content removal in the frequencies, so you're not going to really hear the high and low frequency content being shifted. But the tube stage seems to add a little bit of low end warmth, while the solid state stage kind of makes the kick and snare just sound a little bit flatter. I do like how it sounds with the snare though in solid state. So we are going to do a little bit of boosting and trying to enhance that snare. Let's do a little bit of EQ for the low end. Wow, that's a huge difference. That's a really big difference. Definitely has more bite without the EQ on, but that's because I'm taming high end. But I'm also adding a lot of body. I might want to add more to the snare though. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. Keep in mind the goal here is to make the cymbals sound a little bit less harsh, but keep that high frequency content. The bass bus is next. It's pretty simple. This bass is very, very repetitive. It's annoying, but that should kind of help it stand out a little bit more. The vocal bus, let's see what we can do here.
Last 3 days, the rain was unstoppable. It was always cold, no sunshine. Yeah, running down a dream that never would come to me.
It's doing a good job of adding some weight to it. So let's just cut some low frequencies that we don't need.
Last 3 days, the rain was unstoppable. It was always cold, no sunshine. Yeah, running down a dream that never would come to me. Working on a mystery.
It's adding a little bit of weight. I like that.
Last 3 days, the rain was unstoppable.
Oh yeah, that's a lot different. Look at how fast I'm going. I'm just going, right? I can go to the guitars. Bring down the output gain. It's doing a really good job so far. It's really fast and easy to work with. The acoustic I don't really have to worry much about, and then the effects bus I don't really have to worry about. Let's try this on the mix bus, right? We'll have this on the mix bus. And what I like to do is I actually like to feed my mix bus processor, which is the Cavario N Fuse, right? So we're gonna press play.
It was a beautiful day, the sun beat down. I had the radio on, and I was driving. Trees flew by, me and Dell was singing Little Runaway, and I was flying.
Cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bypass every instance of the Mixwave Pultec, and then we'll turn it on and we'll see what we've done to this mix.
It was a beautiful day, the sun beat down. I had the radio on, and I was driving. Trees flew by, me and Dell was singing Little Runaway, and I was flying. Yeah, running down a dream that never would come to me. Working on a mystery, going wherever it leads, running down a dream. I felt so good, like anything was possible. I hit the cruise control and rubbed my eyes.
It's more of a subtle effect than I would like. I would really like my examples to be very, very apparent to you so you don't have to close your eyes and listen really, really hard. But I'm hearing a lot going on. The Pultec is doing an amazing job at filling out frequencies. It's adding a lot of body, a lot of warmth, which is basically low end and some mid-range. But it's doing it in a very well-mannered way where when I do want to attenuate some of the high end that's getting a little bit too harsh, especially from this all digital mix and recording, it's not sounding dull or overly EQ'd. And that's the thing is Pultecs are designed to not sound aggressive. And this is doing a great job of doing it. I mean, just listening to the drums, right? You get body, you get depth, but you still have all of that high frequency content. In fact, I'm going to remove a little bit more and do a little bit of a makeup gain boost. The vocal especially, I'm hearing some really nice body, but it's not too muddy. And you saw that while I played it back, I actually went in, opened it up, and did some tweaking to make it sound a little bit better.
It was a beautiful day, the sun beat down. I had the radio on.
It definitely helped with this almost anemic sounding vocal.
It was a beautiful day, the sun beat down. I had the radio on, and I was driving.
That's beautiful. It's just such a good job. And then on the electric guitars, I mean, this thing just sounds amazing. I mean, let's go over here. It got rid of all that woofiness, but I kept the low end by doing a little bit of a boost. But it's just adding so much, and especially the shelf. I really like the smoothness of this shelf. Overall, I'm really happy with it, and I like the way that it drove into my Mixbus processor. I always use the Kive Audio Enfuse. I do a ton of videos on Kive Audio stuff, and everyone knows that this is my Mixbus processor. But I'm actually usually trying to find a different EQ. I'm not always the biggest fan of the high and low shelf. I love the Neve style EQ, but I don't like the SSL EQ whatsoever. I actually am not an SSL fan. I like Neves and stuff like that. This is doing a beautiful job of just gently shaping, and because it does have mid-band control, it's not just a high and low shelf. This is a shaper, and it's doing a good job. It's a subtle change, and that's why I really recommend that you download the demos, because there's subtle changes and you're not going to hear them very well on YouTube. But hopefully some of them you really can hear, like the ones on my vocals and on the drums. And if you do hear some helicopters buzzing around, please do excuse it. I live in LA, and we still are currently having our LA fires that are burning down a ton of stuff. All of the venues where I usually do events and production and stuff, a lot of them are burned down. So there's a bunch of helicopters zooming by all night long. They're constantly trying to fight the fires. So if you hear it, I'm really sorry. I can't do much about it. Normally there aren't that many. But that's going to be it for this video. I will leave a link down below to Mixwave's Pultec EQP 1S3. Hard name to remember. I think this is a really good plugin. And if you're looking for a Pultec that does it all, that has a little bit more control and a little bit more options than other Pultecs, which are basically all the same, this is on the top of my list. Since trying out Mixwave plugins, I'm blown away. Their bass amp sim, the Ashdown, amazing. Their, what is it, Spirit Box or something? I'm demoing this, by the way. I don't even own an NFR or a license to it. But the Spirit Box, this is amazing. If you're looking for like a really flexible amp sim that can do clean, rock, distorted, everything, this is amazing. But yeah, this thing is really good. I like it. It's very flexible, very powerful. I love the input and output filter stage. I love the saturation control. I love just everything about it. It's modern. It's light on CPU. When you do want it to sound extra good, you just turn on the oversampling and it gets rid of almost all aliasing, and it has no ringing or anything like that. It's a good plugin. Anyway, it's a 7-day demo. So keep in mind that this isn't something that you're going to have for 14 days or 30 days. You're going to have 7 days. And if you really like it, I would recommend giving it a try. They do have an afterpay option, which lets you pay like 4 installments or 2 installments. I'll leave a link down below. This is Jeremy with I will see you guys later. Bye.